All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. Sorry we had some technical difficulties, but I'm going to first start with our script and then we can get started with the agenda. So welcome to the March 2024 Design Review Committee meeting. I'm going to call the roll to confirm that our DRC members are present. Mara Davis.
Here.
Robert Dudka and Alex Foster are both excused. Andrew Wenchel.
Here.
Great. DRC meetings are held in person and streamed simultaneously to allow commissioners, applicants, and the public to attend online. For members of the board and applicants joining us this evening, if board members or applicants lose internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us via the dial-in phone option. Applicants, please keep your devices muted and your video turned off until your item is under review. When called upon to speak, you must unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon that is located on your meeting command bar. The command bar will appear if you move your cursor down toward the bottom of your screen. We do not have the ability to unmute you. If you are dialing in by phone, press *6 to unmute. The meeting chat is active for participants who need technical assistance and should not be used for questions. The public may observe the meetings, but participation in the discussion is limited to applicants and members of the HALRB during this meeting. Public comment is welcome at the HALRB meeting. Information about signing up as a speaker or submitting a public comment for that meeting is available on the HALRB website. Lastly, this is a public forum. Today's meeting will be recorded and posted to the county website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. And with that, we will go to our first agenda items. Let me share my screen. Hopefully that works. Okay. So the first item here, Andy, I can give you another agenda, is with applicant Charles Chandler, who I know joined us online. And this is for the Eastman Fenwick house. And there's a couple different elements to this project. So let me scroll through. So this is, let me minimize this, zoom out so we can see where all the changes are taking place. So there's a couple different things happening. One is that they are proposing to replace 3 exterior water faucets with new wall hydrants. I'll scroll through so you can see the details, but you can see where those locations are by the yellow boxes. They're also proposing to install a 100-gallon rain barrel to help manage rainwater runoff, and that is going to be here on the back side of the house. They're proposing to install a whole home battery, and that's going to be near the driveway. So this is the driveway and the parking area of the house. They are also grounding a lightning rod via new wire by extending the existing wire that matches the existing one. And then they're also installing 4 security cameras. So they're going to install 1 on the front porch, and then 1 in a tree here, and then 2 in a tree here. And then alongside that, they're also proposing to install network switches at the foundation of the house. So there's 1 here, and I believe the other one is back here. So Mr. Chandler, if you want to chime in and add to anything that I've already summarized here, give us some more details, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. No, I think you did a great job summarizing it. It is a little bit of a grab bag of lots of different things. And I'm very open to feedback and consideration of how best to do any of these little projects. This was my best attempt to capture what I think could work and could be in keeping with the spirit of the house and architecture and style, etc.
Thank you. Your application is really detailed, so we appreciate that. Just keep scrolling through so you all can see everything, and then we can see if you have any questions. So those are the network switches, the location for those. And then the proposed camera on the porch would be white. And then the proposed camera for the trees would be black. And then I did ask Mr. Chandler how he planned on attaching it to the trees. And he said that it would be attached to like a small square of wood that would be painted black and make it less like obvious. It would match the camera basically. And then they would attach it with like a tree house screw to the tree. Yeah. And this is just the again property. I did have one question for you, Mr. Chandler. The new extension of the wire, is it going to be white like the existing one? Like, is it gonna blend in the same way that the existing wire does?
Yeah, it is it's a metallic sort of braided wire that has been painted with the same color as the part of the house that it overlays. So along the top trim where it gets white, and then when it crosses into the yellow woodwork, it's painted yellow. So it would then be repainted to match the whatever wood backing it is over in the new line.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you.
Can you scroll to the wall items?
Yeah. So they'd be in the exact same location as the existing ones.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the main challenge here is that the angle and the location next to the downspout and the ground there make them very hard to physically access. And they've got some other issues. The middle one is a bit leaky as well.
Okay.
And then also maybe back down to the battery.
Uh-huh. So there's like a bush here now that they're proposing to remove, and then the battery would be right here.
That's the size of the battery that would be like below the window sill, basically.
Mr. Chandler, can you answer that? Would the battery pretty much take up the same amount of space as the white square you put on the drawing?
That's my understanding. It needs to rest on a concrete slab. So there would be a small slab there inserted where the dirt and mulch infill is, and then the battery will be placed on top of that, and it should sit below the window line when it's fully seated.
No, I think it's definitely sort of a mixture. They're all pretty innocuous. Some are good to actually remain anyway. So
Yeah.
Street camera see. You can see that that's probably a pretty fair way to detect them to the street as well. So, I think getting the I don't think any exception with anything that's
Okay. Andy, did you have any comments or questions?
Well, the only question I've got is in regards to the rainbow.
Okay.
And to make it less conspicuous, I don't have a problem with the rainbow itself, but the bands, the silver bands, I wonder if those could be painted black or brown.
Okay.
Just so that they go away.
Sure. Mr. Chandler, did you hear that comment?
I think so. You were saying the bands could be painted black.
Yes.
Or brown?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think we could do that.
Okay. Well, with that change, would you be comfortable with it going on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, Mr. Chandler, I will follow up with you with an email. Right now, your item has gone on the consent agenda, which essentially means that the HALRB meeting, it'll be voted en bloc with other consent agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. But I'll follow up with more details with you via email after the meeting today.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next item is in Maywood. This is at 3511 22nd Street. And we have solar panels. So Errol Shams is the applicant for Merrick Hoban and Diana Bermudez. I hope I'm pronouncing those names properly. I don't know if we have any of those participants online. Do you see anyone? Okay. So not sure that we have any of the applicants here with us, but I'll scroll through so you all can see actually I'll zoom out a little bit. So basically the project is the installation of 22 solar panels on the various roof slopes of this house. So it would be on both the main roof and then on like secondary roofs like the porch and side addition. So I'll scroll through so you can see where they'd be placed. There's actually a pretty good, so this is the front of the house, just to orient you a little bit. So that's the main street, and this is the porch roof. And here's the layout plan. So down here is essentially where this is the front of the house. So this is the street facing side.
The only panels I really have any question about was on the front porch.
Okay.
Facing the street. I wondered if you can't put them on the rear of the house. It looks like there's probably room on that same slope where you've got 5 to put it on that the back.
You're talking about like right here, Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no.
Oh, sorry.
Just below that, right there.
Okay.
And, you know, possibly on the side. I was just concerned really with the street facade.
Right.
What do you think?
I'd agree. That's the one that concerns me the most too. That street facade, with it being, facing the street and also being the lowest set there. I mean, it'd be better if they could be moved, if they could be eliminated off that particular roof. Otherwise, I think it's remind me, we've done solar panels in the past, correct?
Yeah. So we have a couple projects that have come forward. They're all a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then the guidelines do allow for ACOAs for solar panels, but they have to be on like new additions or that sort of thing. So not on like the historic core of the house. That would be the COA, which is why it's coming forward.
One quick question. Was this house a contributing or non-contributing?
It is contributing.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to strongly suggest that those street solar panels that are on the front porch facing the street being moved to either the side of the porch. There's a spot
Like
there,
right there.
in there, or also on the back side of the cable roof there. There's a spot. I think that would go a long ways towards minimizing the impact. That's consistent with what we've done before. That's not okay.
Visible.
facing the street.
Yeah, I think just knowing where this house is located in Maywood, this spot here would probably still be pretty visible from the public right of way. So I think they'll have to really think about angles because it's at like a T intersection in Maywood, so it almost has more visibility.
Right, you're coming from redirected, right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a larger plan that shows how it's situated in Maywood?
Let me see if I have that one here. I might not. Yeah, that just shows like the house itself. I don't think they submitted a. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah.
So like if you were standing over here, you could probably still see them here.
Yeah, you probably still could. I still think that maybe that's got some, they look like palm trees there. They, I think there's some other roof slopes where you could put those three that don't face the street, and maybe not on the porch roof on the side.
Okay.
So, yeah, that would be the side. If they were set further back, I think they'd be fine. I don't know about the palm trees bring any shade.
Michael, it's right here, so I'm wondering if there's a way for us to say if they were to stay away from the front as well as this area, because that's more visible from
Right.
22nd Street.
Right.
And if they were to find it at any other location other than that zone, then that will tell them the level of flexibility that they have to place those roof panels someplace else. Because the thing I've noticed with solar panels is that they have to be in a very specific place in order for them to be
Effective.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, sure.
so I would imagine that knowing that they're coming to this body,
Yeah,
putting them on the front,
yeah.
kind of far-fetched, so, but maybe we tell them just to clear that zone.
We can ask them to submit a few, if they place them on, other than the roofs, the porch roofs we're talking about. I think that was the real one, otherwise.
I would agree.
You agree with that? Okay. Well, I know they're not here right now, but I can go ahead.
I also recommend too, that I'm sure that they've done like a sun study or whatever, shade study, but that they maybe explain the sort of shade study, like when they present this, so we kind of understand like why needs to be on, like why they would propose that roof in the first place. We should have done their homework, but they could explain it as well.
Okay. All right. And you all don't have any issues with it going on like the main roof? Yeah, I'll scroll back up. I want to be clear. I know the applicant's not here, so I want to give a full report. I want to go back to the top because it has like a picture of the house.
Yeah.
So it would be like on this roof and this part of the roof too.
Right. Yeah.
And so far we've been talking about the ones that are proposed for here.
Right.
Now, the fact that it's a contributing structure is key. On non-contributing structures, we have really one to face the street.
Yeah, this one, we might want to push it to discussion, maybe, probably no matter what, I think, perhaps, the discussion at least, I think,
Okay.
just to.
But if they could revise it,
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'll definitely suggest that and see what they say. And if they, can find a different spot for some of those, then I'll ask that they can do that. But I'll put it on discussion.
Yeah, I think it might get told, I don't know, honestly. So,
Yeah.
Good discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about this one?
No, nothing else. They can explain again, like their logic for where they placed them, and that'd be helpful, obviously, to the board. But yeah, we can go from there. I mean, it's definitely noble cause, so I understand why they, like, why they want to do what they want to do. So.
Yeah, it's balancing.
Yeah.
I think what I'll also do is ask that they include a photograph maybe from the street so that you get a better sense of the angles and kind of where visibility actually is. Right. Okay. And they still didn't join, right? Okay. Okay. So then we'll move on to item number 3, which I know that Scott and Ryan are online. So item number 3 is at the Robert Ball Senior Burial Ground. You all may remember this one came forward in 2021 to put a wall and fence around the burial ground as part of the site plan project that was happening. So right now they're proposing a few changes to the fence that's already been installed and already got a COA from the HALRB. And they need to decrease, basically cut out this portion of the iron fence so that they can put in the historic marker at an angle. So I'll show you.
So you're actually cutting
That's correct.
And then sorry, this photo's really close. Basically, this is the location that we're talking about here. So you can see what that looks like. And then this is where it was, so it was previously approved to go in this spot. They just found that they needed to install it a little bit differently for readability. And then as a reminder, that's the marker that you all reviewed recently and approved. So that's a marker that's going in place. This is what was previously approved. Any questions, comments? Scott, please feel free to add something if we missed it.
I think it's that. I mean, you nailed it. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of, making sure we mount the sign so it's visible to folks that are in wheelchairs or other. And I think we kind of knew all along we were gonna have to modify the fence. It just this kind of came up towards the end when we finally got the fence in and realized, how are we gonna get this thing on the fence? And we're gonna have to make a modification to make sure it's visible. And I think what we have here is pretty good. It overhangs a little bit of the salvage stone reclaimed fence or wall, whatever you want to call it. But it overhangs enough that it's not a tripping hazard. And we don't need any cane detection or anything like that.
I don't really have any problem with this, but
Okay.
given the interest of the board in this whole thing, just so we know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise I put it on the consent.
Right. But this
The board has talked about this quite a bit.
Well, we're kind of, yeah, that's true. And there's the whole thing about sort of looking over, looking in there. So, I mean.
Well, just to remind you, they did come back in 2021 and they had to get 3 different COAs for this. And I know
they twice last year, once for the marker and then to put the headstones back in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so the fact that the marker is going to the exact location, also the fact that it's not encroaching into farther into the actual burial grounds. As Scott kind of mentioned, we just saw this was a modification just to be able to make what was kind of previously approved, other than the fact that we had to adjust this design.
Right.
So, so that's the only reason why I would like to encourage that it got on the consent agenda. I don't know. I'm going to advocate you should try. just
Yeah.
because all it is cutting down that fence, making sure that the fence is, any of the cuts are protected so that there's no rusting or anything like that. And that the way that it was angled and presented in 2021 is actually being able to be feasible. Because if they didn't adjust the fence and cut it down, the marker would have to come out further into the sidewalk area. And right now they're only allowed to go, you can see where there's that 6 inches from the bottom of the fence. If they go any further, we'll have to get an adjustment to their easement for the public access easement. It would just start to go too far in. So we thought that if we cut back the fence to allow it to still be at an angle, it would still be able to kind of meet some type of ADA compliance to it. Or if they didn't adjust the fence, then it would be cut flush onto the fence and wouldn't be as, we just didn't think that that was kind of the same way that, yeah, like the way that we also do, like the markers usually it's like in a tabletop kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where
Who's going to do the work? Is it going to be Arlington County or is it going to be?
it wouldn't be Arlington County, so it's still an active construction site. They're still making adjustments
Okay.
to what's going on with the site plan.
Okay, so they'll be responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And theoretically, if someone on the board wanted more information, they could pull it off the consent agenda and onto discussion, and we, as staff, would be prepared to give it more report.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think come up with something.
So consent agenda,
Okay.
somebody may see it.
Yeah.
And I'll also be there.
Good.
Be there or see it afterwards. So
Okay.
I'll be going out there. I was out there last week. I'll be out there next week.
Okay.
So we'll be reviewing to see how it looks.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Scott and Ryan, your item is on the consent agenda for the HALRB meeting. It'll be voted and blocked at the beginning of the meeting, but Lauren and I will follow up after tonight with an email with more information about next steps in the process.
Great. All right. Well, appreciate your help and look forward to speaking with everybody again in, I think it's 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Good deal. Awesome. Well, appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much,
Thank you
everyone.
much.
Appreciate it.
Bye, Ryan. Bye,
Take
Scott.
care, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Okay. I'm gonna actually close out of these guys. Okay, so our next project is at the Arlington, so technically it is in the boundaries of the Arlington Post Office. We kind of rarely get COA applications, but this is for the installation of a new sign that is associated with the commercial space that is located directly in between the post office and then the Dan Kane building or Lion Hall restaurant today. So this space is technically, I just found this out today, digging through files, is brand new. It was a hyphen that was created when they did the site plan like around it. And so it's not historic in the same way that like the post office is and Dan Kane is, but it was built to kind of like mimic the style of both of those to make it a more seamless transition. So that's some context for it. But basically the applicant is proposing to install this sign over top of the awning, and they are not here. I know that they were, they had let me know they may not be in attendance tonight. But the sign itself, you can kind of see the measurements and I'll zoom in a little bit.
So it's on a new construction, but it's within the boundary
Yes.
of the local historic district.
Yeah, and it has the businesses that have been here before have had to get COAs in the past for signage. So it's part of being in the LHD boundary.
What about the beauty in terms of the typeface? Does it match the line hole? Should it? I raised that question. I mean, what kind of signage do you have in terms of fonts?
So,
What I'm getting at is that I'm not sure that we should have the same fonts as my home.
okay. So just my understanding of like past projects, they have not matched they've not matched the signage of Lion Hall. And I know that there's another sign that, so basically there's like a step back and then the tall building that's connected to the building. It has a sign up at the top that definitely doesn't match either. So that's the context, the surrounding context is that the signage in the area doesn't match.
We went over the one high up,
Mm-hmm.
we reviewed that before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Okay, so in the past, signs that have been approved have not matched the Lion Hall sign.
To my understanding.
And the Lion Hall sign, just as a refresher, that's a neon sign.
Mhm.
So even if it was to match the font, it would have a different appearance, at least at night. They don't do the back, or it looks like it's neon, might be a backlighting.
It is. No, it's like I think it is a neon
Okay.
sign. But this one doesn't have any lighting. So this one is just, yeah, it's not illuminated. It's just channel letters that they are installing. And I think one of my questions for the applicant, I know they're not here, but is how they're installing it. You know, I want to make sure that they're installing it in like mortar joints and not in the actual concrete blocks that are there. So, I think that's one question that staff has. I don't know if there are any other thoughts that you all had. I mean, Omari, how do you feel about the like styling of it?
I think it seems like it's a pretty quiet sign. I mean, I don't take a lot of exception to it. I think again, I think it's got to be again, the way it's attached to the building is probably is important as well. But it seems like it's we don't do color, but it's also going to be whiter, black and white, which is probably good. And it's kind of quiet and and also I guess other ideas is maybe it's not the same font as Lion Hall, but maybe it's a good thing in some ways as well. So I'm probably okay with it as is, but definitely they should definitely let us know how it's going to be attached, and also, I mean, it looks like it. I mean, but will it be lighted though? Because there's an LED label on the detail.
Yeah, I I saw that too, but based off of the other, he told me on the phone that it wasn't going to be illuminated, and then yeah, no electric needed, no power supply units, no LED.
No, okay.
Is this could you scroll back up? Is that going to be
It's gonna
painted white or is that
No, it says it's acrylic.
metal?
It looks like it's
I
acrylic.
think it's like acrylic channel letters.
But is it going to be white or is it going to be silver?
I think it's white based off of that, but again, that's my understanding of it, not having the applicant here.
Well, I think something to keep in mind, again, this is not on the actual historic building.
Yes.
Next to it, it's within the boundary. Do you all feel that it's compatible enough to what is the actual historic building? I would kind of take that into consideration.
I appreciate that, but I mean, I'm also, I can't tell from this submittal whether that is going to be painted or metal, and I don't see where it does really say what.
Would you prefer to be metal or would you prefer to be painted? Or at least white?
Well, I think actually, given the fact that the kind of building it is, whatever, I would think metal might be better in this a metal finish as opposed to white. But that's my reservation about this.
Okay. Maybe if we were to request if we were comfortable with the design and how it looks, but maybe requested it have because I think it's a
Matte silver. So
what meaning like what's it? Well, I'm trying to think of but that's the thing. The
It says
lion.
white acrylic.
Yeah, because the Lion Hall sign is, again, I mean, it's neon, so it's not a metal. But I think the metal on the building is like,
silvery.
yeah, I think it's like a polished silver.
Yeah.
So
Or
maybe
like
if we were to ask that they match the metal.
I mean, I think it comes back to the question you brought up though is, well, I don't know, is it appropriate to have all signage match? I don't even know if the Lion Hall sign is historic.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Because that's not, like, that wasn't the purpose of that building. It was a trophy store.
Right,
So.
yeah. It's true,
That-
yeah, it's true, yeah.
But,
Yeah, true.
you know, I don't remember the Lion Hall sign ever coming up, so it was.
Well,
it
also,
was, before I joined the board.
and you guys you're not gonna see it very well, but behind the Lion Hall, this is another secondary Lion Hall. This is the storefront we're talking about. So
Us is right now.
think of like,
Yeah,
so
that's what used to be there.
it used to be there, so that got removed, but that's what was approved in the past.
Oh,
So
okay.
keep into consideration, this had been approved.
That, and it had been approved controversial.
Oh, okay, well, it's good.
Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah, because that was, that's quite a different looking sign.
Yeah, that'll be in the staff report.
This is more compatible than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it does say white acrylic faces, aluminum gloss, black returns with a black trim cap. So I think it's going to be black and white based off of the specs that they have submitted.
I think it's probably, I think it's compatible, but I would say it'd be better if it was, if the metal on the sign maybe matched sort of the sort of chrome look that's around that's sort of more present in the building. But I'd say,
Okay.
but I don't really, it's my recommendation.
You also,
Yeah. But the exceptions to how it's done now either. So, better if it was like that.
Okay.
Better.
Well,
but definitely not neon.
Well, I mean, so you've got the black casing, and then now we've got the white, so are we thinking then that we would want them to make the black casing also
that's
a
what
metal?
it sounded like you wanted.
Yeah.
And then the
That-
front to be a metal, so like
No.
I think the front could even be that same white, for me at least. I think the front could be the same white acrylic, but the casing was the more chrome or.
should be more of
That's
a
polished,
silver
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, it's my recommendation.
So maybe we could offer if they make that adjustment. Would you?
I recommend putting it on consent. I mean,
If they made that adjustment.
yeah.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
yeah. No, we can discuss.
Gradually improving. What is it?
Right.
Okay, I'll see if they can do that, and if not, I'll just put it on the discussion
Yeah.
agenda. Okay. Okay, they still want some.
It's just us. It's just us.
Just us. All right. Okay, so then that takes us to our next agenda item, which we have you all here for. Yeah, so please join us at the table and introduce yourselves if you don't mind.
Guys want to introduce yourselves?
Just to start.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we're Brian and Lisa Coe, the new homeowners. and we're very happy that you are willing to hear our proposed design. Just kind of at the highest level, we chose a lot of what's in the design to intentionally kind of amplify a lot of the historic that we love. Plan to keep the historic elements of the home throughout. We also have really gotten to know a lot of the neighbors and are very conscientious that we don't want to have some sort of monstrosity through the back, because that could hurt views for everyone and the beautiful resource of the park. So we've been pretty mindful and conscientious of the neighborhood and the elements in the design here.
And
I'll tell you
Yes.
about the design better than
John
I.
McKenna and Alex Centeno from MC3 Design, with the architects. We're happy to hear your introduction and
Oh,
Take it
sure.
away.
I mean, you guys are here, so you can, I'll scroll through the photos so you all can see the design. But probably to help orient you, this house is at the very end of 23rd Road North. So it's on the edge of the Maywood Local Historic District. And it is, basically it connects to the park that is around it. So like all of this area over here is parkland, and then there's a house that's over here. And then there's just park and woods over on this side. So that kind of helps situate you to where the house is located. So that is, I think this is what's existing, right? And this is what you're proposing?
Yep.
Okay.
And a little info here. So we are the last property on the edge of the Maywood Historic District here. All of our work is connecting the primary residence and the detached garage. And all that is taking place away from the neighboring property towards the open land.
So I'll scroll through these. I'll scroll through the plans really quickly so that we can get to
The elevations are probably best.
To show. So here's the demo plan. So this is what's existing. And then just to give you a little bit more background to both the house and the garage are contributing to Maywood. The house is pre-1916, and then the garage is 1936 is what we've got records for. So that's the historic background of the property. So they are proposing to demolish the top part of the roof the top part of the garage, and then this back section of the house.
And you can see from all these elevations, really, we're in the process of schematic design, wanted to bring the massing and the volumetric design to the table. Everything is taking place from behind the gable line. So we're looking at maintaining everything 100% from the gable forward, and the garage is actually set back even further from that. So just for a little context on the elevations.
Yeah, and I should have said that from the outset. They don't have a formal COA with us right now. They wanted to get preliminary design feedback from you and Andy, and then take that back, work it into their plans, and then come forward with a more formal application in the future. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Okay, so this is the main proposal. So this is the historic house, the part of the garage, and this is all the brand new addition that would be connecting them. So I'll scroll through. That's the back side, and then the other side elevation. So this is the side that is facing a neighbor, and this is the side that is facing the park.
And there are some perspectives at the end that I think might be the easiest.
Oops, sorry.
So you can see the depth of the garage there is set back almost to the rear of the existing single-family home. And our proposal is a rear addition off the back of the house, and that's the connection on the top left. You can see sort of the bridge connection. We've maintained that first floor elevation across, and it actually sits on top of the garage due to the slope of the site there. So our proposal is to maintain that first floor across all the way to the rear above the garage and continue with a second story above for a new primary suite.
I'm happy to scroll to other pages too if you all want to see different angles.
The intention is still to keep this as a single family house.
Yes, sir.
So that the staircase and the hyphen, if you will, connection, that's another entrance.
Yes, that to have even easier access to and from garage, honestly. There won't be in this design, there isn't another entryway directly to the garage because of the elevation. So that was the rationale.
It creates a bit of a mudroom access there to the kitchen location and ease of access from the driveway.
Yeah, I guess maybe the biggest thing I would say about it is that I think that I understand the intent. I think the intent is good, but I do think that the garage, as a secondary structure, is really sort of subsumed by this current scheme right now. It really sort of you kind of lose the garage in the scheme here as it is now. Sure. I think that's something that I would try to dial back in some way. I mean, perhaps there's a way to still maybe keep some massing over there, but then do keep that garage we do want to still recognize that the garage was there at some point. Yeah, and right now it's kind of sitting below this heavy two-story mass there. So.
Sure. The existing is a bit isolated as it currently stands. So the design intent was really trying to bring more of the primary structure, the ins and outs and the massing of that over to the garage structure to kind of highlight it through the addition. We, in that sort of line of thought, brought that shed roof over the top and maintained the original gable. So we have that same ratio being brought up to sort of recognize this tower of the garage in the new area. None of it's visible really from anywhere on the public way. You'd be entering the park to be able to see this at all. So in an access to the front door, the first thing that you would be able to see would be that gable line that was reflected about 15 feet below previously and kind of bringing it up now.
Can you see the existing elevation?
Sure. Yeah, that would be
2 or 8. Yes.
Okay,
Is this what you're looking
Yes.
for? Okay.
What I'm wondering, what are the doors, the garage doors? Is it an overhead?
it is an overhead. Yep.
We've had some interesting proposals, if you will, on that. The garage is somewhat of an issue, okay, because you said the garage was 36. I'm wondering if we could, one, change the garage doors to what would have been historically appropriate in 36, which are outswinging doors. And I don't know whether there's any photographs available where you found any of what it might look like. There are various ones, but an overhead door was probably not on the 36 garage. The other thing that I wonder if you could consider is letting the garage, which is a one-story structure with its gable, green and push the addition over the garage or whatever back so that you still see the garage front as it might have been. I think that would be, to me, I think could be switched to the.
And that was someone addressed my comment as
Sure.
well. I think if you
Maintain that sort of step back that facade in order to kind of highlight it.
Yeah.
Could you flip the to the proposal?
Oh, this one?
Yes.
So you're
Yeah,
talking
so-
about having this portion be further set back?
Right, and then I don't mind all the cable on the top. I just think if the garage was brought out as a distinct piece with a cable, and you could work from there back. That would be, I think, more historically, at least a semblance of the original.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I had a question about the thought behind a side addition. It sounded like you all purposely didn't want just a rear addition because of sight lines for neighbors, or is it more just restrictions on the plot of land and
Both,
both?
as
Okay.
well as grade. So there's
Okay.
a severe slope off the
I
rear.
thought there would
Yeah,
be,
and
okay.
as we step back, we would be, our basement story would need a sub basement and so on and so on. So it's definitely most economically feasible. It's the least intrusive, and we would impact side yard setbacks as well. And we don't want to be on top of both the rear neighbor is in the back left and the left neighbor.
And correct me if I'm wrong, much of what the structure between existing detached garage and existing home is brick pavers and stone wall. And we were also very keen to do our best not to disrupt more of the grass, the land, the earth that has already focus on the stuff that's already been disturbed.
Okay.
Versus much of what hasn't.
Yeah. And for this entire footprint, I think our land disturbance was under 1,200 square feet. So we're at such a minimal footprint due to the already significant hardscaping.
Yeah.
There's one other comment, I guess, I'd like to suggest is the original house front with its roof and the ridge there. Can you reduce the height of the new ridge that extends off of that and drop it down so that it doesn't look like it's an extension of the original?
So we've studied, we actually started all of this, kind of sent an initial, and we were higher. So we've reduced it down in order to maintain an 8-foot exterior wall where I think we're like 2 inches below. We're just separated right now in order to sort of break that line. But for clearances, there's not too much more we can do. And since this is our initial direction, we haven't engaged and started structural design. We don't know our joist sizing yet, so it may be that we can buy back another 4 or 6 inches there. But the intent is definitely to break that roof line as much as we can.
I appreciate that, but I think one of the things you could look at is to try and make the connection between the original house and the garage with its addition on top, is to treat the area between as like a hyphen and reduce the height of that particular roof line. And even if you only go up part way and then dive off the back end with less of a slope, and you can, if even necessary, you can make it into an overlapped asphalt shingle. Instead of an asphalt shingle, you could use a roll roofing.
Okay.
That would be a suggestion. That would be a suggestion. That way, this read as garage, a hyphen, and then
The original. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staff would agree with that. I think it would help with the readability of, and like respecting the historic house, which I know is your intent, and just making sure that it reads much more like an addition and something else of its specific time, as opposed to mimicking too much of what is originally there.
I think also the board's kind of used to seeing sort of that 3-part sort of setup there, where there's sort of a height in the middle, sort of these two elements. I think that really helps sort of.
Okay.
Just as a recommendation.
That's great. Thank you.
How do you feel about the windows?
It would be, I think it would be nice if the windows sort of in their proportions, we spoke a little bit more towards the existing house there, because they're just so, I mean, it should be, obviously different, but I think maybe the proportion also that the lights are divided up too. I think that they were more, yes, this might take, they're more sort of proportionally, maybe a little bit closer to what's there now. I'd be,
I would agree with that. It's on the back side too.
and yeah, it's sort of all around, yeah.
So sorry, let me ask this question. This part of the house here, is this the original house where these windows are going in or no?
That's the original low gable, so there was no
Okay.
space there, so that is kicked up to a 8-foot exterior wall there, so that's
Okay,
a new space.
okay, got it, okay.
The-
I asked because I was like, oh, those would be new windows in the existing structure, but it's not actually.
Not on the second floor, on the first
Okay.
floor, those are original.
I was wondering about the differentiation.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little glassy in the back.
But it is.
But it is the rear. It is the rear. So I mean, so it's
I think,
yeah,
I'm much more concerned with
about the
street facade.
fair.
Yeah, the street facade, we did maintain the same ratio. We tried to
Yeah.
maintain all that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll move forward with more detail
Yeah.
off your feedback here, but that was the intent. The rear with that slope, and especially the park and the surrounding, is to get as
You
much
want
glass
to
for the
see
view.
Okay.
It seems quite reasonable.
Yeah. Take
They have a
advantage.
beautiful lot. We got to show it off.
Take advantage of where you are.
Exactly.
Or the biggest things on my list, and it can't be.
Anything else from you guys?
This is wonderfully helpful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
coming forward.
Yeah.
And I'll type up a summary and send it to you in an email, and then we can coordinate about future steps.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to meet you, and welcome to Maywood.
Oh.
You're welcome. Yeah, but congratulations as well.
We're only about a quarter of a mile at present away from it, but we're very happy to get in it.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. I think this is a first that we are right on schedule.
I was just telling my team that. I was like,
Oh, we're here.
yeah. It's like, be ready. We're on time.
Come on.
Would you like?
Yeah.
We should get you a little table.
Deserve it.
At this point, you guys are gonna be sick of me by the end of the year.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright. So I'm happy to scroll through, or someone
Yeah.
can take over too, if that's easier.
We have some updated slides too, because we've been fast developing this one's. A few things have changed a little bit. Is there anything, Lauren, that you wanted to say as a preface? Okay, all right.
Please take it.
All right. Good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Lauren Riley, with Walsh Colucci, represent the applicant, Jerry Lynch. You ready for round 4? Renovation of Barcroft. So this is, Alice, I think if you could go ahead and pull up the slides. This will be our 4th renovation use permit. So we've just been wrapping up the 3rd one, which will go to hearing in April. This one we're filing with staff this week, but coming to you first so we can so that we can be able to make a June county board hearing in order to file the tax credit application for this site. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Is there a way you could blow this up a little bit? It's hard to see the outline.
That's weird. It's as big as it's on my huge screen. Let me try again 1 second. Sorry guys, let me see
That's okay.
if this helps. Okay. Can you see that better?
Yeah. Well, go ahead and advance to the next one.
Oh, right.
There might be a delay. There we go. Yeah, this is a little bit better. This is a diagram many of you guys have seen before that Tracers has put together, very helpfully identifying phases 1 and 2 of Barcroft and then color coding each of the sections. You'll see the section or the 2 buildings within this use permit review, buildings 47 and 48. They're outlined in red, and we've also kind of gone ahead and tracked for you the locations of the 3 previously, so you can see where we are as we are making our way through almost half of Barcroft at this point with these use permits, which is great. If you go to the next slide, here's the aerial view, so you can see that in context of the existing site, and then a blow up there on the right of buildings 47 and 48. It's 2 buildings, and they contain about 73 1- and 2-bedroom units today. Next slide. Going to some existing photos. This is building 47 on the bottom of that hill there. Photo 1 is taken as you're driving south on George Mason Drive. If you look to your right, you'll see building 47 there at that corner of the driveway in South George Mason Drive. And then to your right, that's a zoomed in view further down. You can see there's some painted yellow brick and some red brick on this building. And then kind of going up the hill, you get a view of what this looks like. There's a pretty steep hill as you go up that driveway that this building has to negotiate those grades. And then then you can see another view of the interior courtyard there. Next slide. This is building 48, which is just one long skinny building there that sits at the top of the hill. As you can see, it doesn't have any kind of landscaped amenity space for it because of where it's located. And it's quite a small, efficient building there that sits up off of the driveway, not very visible from George Mason Drive. Next slide. And then I won't go through in detail all of these renovations with you all, but just to say this is very similar to the scope of renovations that you've seen for the past 2 projects, where we're doing all those exterior renovations, cleaning the brick, replacing HVAC and heating systems, and replacing light fixtures, et cetera, et cetera. Here, we will be able to create 4 type A units, 2 in each building. But we'll just note 2 of those units in building 47 will be considered accessible day 1. The 2 units in building 48 up at the top of the hill will not be considered accessible officially until we've made some renovations to building 46, which will be a future use permit because of accessibility to the amenity space. So as I noted, building 48 is not doesn't have its own courtyard. So we've got to provide accessible access to a courtyard. We can't do that because of the grade on the hill. So we're going to have to go across the street, which will be convenient. You'll see in a minute where those 2 unit entrances will be located. That'll be the best kind of route for amenity space for them, but just wanted to call that out for you all. And then with that, I'm going to hand it over now to Tom with Mosley Architecture to walk you through the revisions to the facade. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry, I totally skipped over Jeff's beautiful landscape rendering. Sorry about that. Yeah, this better illustrates what I was talking about with the landscaping. We will be renovating that existing courtyard in building 48. And Jeff Krebs with Bike is here to talk about the scope of that and any questions you guys have once we're done with the presentation. Sorry, now over to you, Tom.
All right, thank you so much. Great to be here this evening. This is very similar to the presentation we made a month or 2 ago here for the third phase of third phase of construction there. What we're trying to do is create a couple of accessible entrances to units. As you'll recall, the existing entry vestibules are a mid-landing entrance. You have to go up or down to get to the units, and they're very tightly constrained, so really can't use those for accessibility. So what we're proposing to do is, you see in building 47 here, actually carve into the hillside a little bit to get an accessible path down, and then just cutting a simple door in with 9 panel over 2 flat panels, entry door to match all the other ones on the site, with a simple canopy that floats over the top of the door to match that which is in the other phase we presented last month here. Nice, simple, clean, works well in context, but still very much reading of its time. And next slide. And here's another view here from the other side here, another accessible entrance that we're just kind of carving in, tucked into the bottom of the building here. Similar approach, modestly screening of the entrance, trying to make sure that it is contextually appropriate to the other buildings that are here. You can see where we're just trying to tuck the door in a way that is unobtrusive on a secondary elevation, and not trying to call too much attention to itself. And slide. Then on building 48, similar situation here. You can see the two entrances we're proposing here. They're part of, like building 47, we're just continuing the existing fenestration down. We're just dragging one window into a doorway configuration. Trying to be as light with our touch as possible. You can see the grade change there, that about 4.5 feet up from where the floor level is for the accessible entrances is the upper level, the mid landing of the entrances that then go up to the next floor up for the other residential units. And slide. And I said, here's our prototypical scheme as we showed you last time as well. It's a simple standing seam metal canopy in kind of a patinaed copper color with a simple door that matches the other existing doors. You see on the right over there, that kind of yellow framed 9-panel over 2. That's an existing door. We're proposing to create a new doorway entrance using that same type of detailing. We also have with this some window replacements. There's a series of deeply degraded existing windows, and we're proposing to replace them as they've been replaced in other prior portions of the site, just with a nice simple window replacement, either vinyl or aluminum that will match the existing configuration.
Thanks, Tom. And I will note, for those of you that reviewed the DRC package that we submitted the other week, a couple of the material notes have changed since then, just as we've been able to finalize the design. So if there's a discrepancy between those two, this is the correct version. And just to follow up on Tom's note about the windows, as he said, the current windows are steel sash windows in bad condition on the buildings. This is the first one that we've encountered where the windows haven't already been replaced with vinyl, and VHD requires vinyl or aluminum windows. So we'll be going with either one of those two. And then this is a similar slide summarizing our applications here. Like the other ones, we'll submit a form-based code use permit for the renovation with modifications to setback and parking. And then we have those kind of two buckets of conservation area standard modifications. The first bullet are the ones that we are requesting to remain with, that we will not ask waiver for, which is those window replacement materials, the fiberglass material for the doors for the new accessible unit entrances, and then the canopies for the new unit entrances, as well as those openings on the buildings, on the back of the buildings for the HVAC and heating system. Then the second bullet is, even though Virginia Housing looks like they're going to approve our waivers going forward, we still have this in here just in case on one building if they don't permit the waiver, but we'll continue to ask for the possibility to do vinyl aluminum clad siding as well as canopies on non-accessible entrances, though we expect that they will continue to grant our waivers as we go through these. So I think that concludes our presentation. We're open for questions, discussion.
I guess, so the existing canopies that are there, they'll be left sort of as is, or potentially they'll be painted, or
Yeah, that's my understanding, right, Alice? The existing canopies will remain as they are, will be repainted, repaired as needed, right?
Correct. Yeah, this top surface is copper, patinaed copper, so that wouldn't be painted, but the framework underneath would be painted. That would be the only work.
Can you pull up on the presentation, an overhead view of the buildings and then,
Maybe that landscape one.
yeah, and just point to us which elevations are gonna have the new entryways.
So on building 47 on the right, building 47 on the right has the new entrances up along the way.
Building 47 along the driveway. Okay.
Yeah, so if you turned right off of George Mason, you looked left, there's an existing retaining wall there. And that's where we're gonna provide the new entrance for the accessible units. And then we'll be punching through on the other side of that, right, to get people to be able to access the courtyard from their units. Thank you, Alice. And then on building 48 up at the top, it'll be on that kind of planned north corner. There will be two entrances straddling that existing stoop up into the first floor entrance. Yeah, can we go to yeah, there you go.
So how many entrances are going to be on building 47? New ones?
47, there'll be two, one on the elevation fronting the driveway and one on the courtyard elevation. And then on building 48, there'll be two new entrances on either side of this elevation here.
And I think that window on the north elevation is new as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and maybe here. We're enlarging some windows.
And are the entrances, the new entrances, so are they completely new openings? Or are they replacing a window? And I'm sorry, you may have just said that, Alice.
No, it's okay. I think they're replacing like small basement windows. So generally new openings, but actually I bet we have. Yeah, so it's like some small basement windows you can kind of see here. Oops.
Windows there. Yeah.
Okay.
Be enlarging those.
And here it'd be like adding a door down here to be the maintenance access, and then there's a window here and a window here.
Yeah. For a little more context for this building, so today this is the basement level and it gets exposed because of the hillside starts to go away as you come down, making it a good opportunity to put accessible units in a place where it's currently not occupied. So we're making the maintenance room that's there a little bit smaller, and we're able to fit two units there. And then enlarge those windows so they meet building code and provide, good views for the tenants.
How many trees we need to be taken down for any of this work? Trees.
I'll acknowledge Jeff from VICA. I don't know if we've completed the final survey of the trees. I thought we were not going to be taking any down with this one, but feel free to.
Well, yeah, so the tree inventory has been done. There's one tree that is problematic for the building. Now it's an existing tree right on the right-hand side where those three bright green trees are. There is a maple tree that exists, yeah, just south of that, right kind of where that little one in the middle is. And it's
right
along the front. It's got
this guy?
It's got yes. So that guy, if you are standing out there now, you'll see that there's a small sidewalk that's been the roots are completely exposed on that tree. So it's in decline, and its proximity to the building, per Virginia housing standards, this is one that we're not removing directly because of construction, but because it's the right thing to do. It's sort of at the age where it needs to be dealt with, and it's certainly not helping the building being where it is, and again, being so exposed. It's more of a hazard at this point. So we're taking that one down. That's the only one we're taking down at this point. And as Lauren said, we may be massaging the access paths to the new, especially building 48 as we get a little further in, but this is the plan as of right now.
Can you jump to the slides that show the renderings of the new entryways? Thank you.
Yeah, which here's 47.
Mhm.
Let me know if you want to see a different one.
Can you do 48 now?
All right, I'm trying to erase all my markup.
And okay, and so this is the first time that we're seeing, so are all of the windows on both buildings, they're all metal?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my understanding, right, Alice?
Yeah, they're all steel still. Or yeah, none of them have been replaced with the vinyl that we've seen on the previously reviewed phases.
And this is from previous conversations that I've had with the cultural resources firm, Traceries. I'm pretty sure that those steel windows are original. So.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think you're correct that they
Yeah,
are original, but we have to meet certain
No, I understand,
requirements that necessitates the removal of those and replacement with something else. But
It threw me for a loop when I saw them, because I thought
Yeah.
that meant that they would have been replaced like in the 70s or
Yeah,
something.
me too, yeah.
Right.
But the fact that those are from, but this is also, when was this section done?
this is I
This
think
This is
it's
the later.
the
yeah.
late 40s. This is
It's
actually-
1947, 48.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I'm surprised
Thanks,
that they
Laura.
not, I would never have looked at those and thought that those were
You knew.
the late 40s.
Wow.
So, but they are not,
In any condition to be.
they're not great.
Rehab.
They're just not great. They're just not great. Just to be honest, they aren't really doing anything.
Yeah, I think we had a photo that showed that Tom showed the
Yes, so.
current condition.
Yeah.
There you go. See.
I've definitely seen better days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And this is I'm throwing you for a loop with questions, and I'm sorry, dear members.
No.
How many, because a lot of the buildings, I've always had this question about window replacement, and garden apartments, you can look at it differently with window replacement. Because it's not, like, the National Park Service has kind of determined that it's not necessary really for like the integrity, the architectural integrity to keep the windows for garden style apartments. And I'm also thinking of, I've had scenarios where I've seen entire streets of neighborhoods where the windows have been replaced, and maybe there's only one house left that has its original windows. And now it's strange that those windows have become, even though they're original or if they're wood, they're not now working with the entire character of the street anymore. And I'm kind of thinking that scenario is happening here a little bit, because Barcroft has had majority of its buildings, I think their windows have all been replaced. So just kind of throwing that out there. It's a preservation philosophical question in there somewhere in that state. All right. So, do you guys see numbers? What are your thoughts?
I think it looks just kind of similar to the other phases that we've seen before. I think sort of based on that, I think it's appropriate. Interesting wrinkle about it being the original windows, but I think it's probably fair to say that to replace them is probably the right move. I think we probably we want to bring that up during the board meeting, this for the record essentially, but I don't think it'll be a big bug of contention. But yeah, I think that the moves look pretty good. I think it's obviously we're happy to see more buildings that are going to be preserved and reused obviously as well.
Right.
I think the one thing I'd like to just bring up is that there will be probably some questions about the new entrances. Some of them are still on a primary facade.
Right.
Now they're visually
Yeah.
not like we had looked at images from phase 3, I think it was, where
Yeah, we had considered putting them, but they were
very much right next to the entryway. And I think because
Yeah.
of the grade, it's almost like they still are acting as like a secondary entrance, which before in the previous phase we looked at, it was a
Yeah.
little bit conflicting, like here's the main entrance and now there's another main entrance right next to it, and that became a bit odd. So I feel like it's still reading like a secondary entrance with these new entries.
That was our thought too.
Thinking explaining why why they can't be put someplace else.
Right. We looked at a couple different options. Tom, I know you all looked at, where you could fit these units and what would be best, because we still have to provide maintenance space in that level. And so it turned out, this was the best option rather than putting it on the side elevations. I don't know, Tom, if you could speak more to why they have to be on the front versus the side. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, Tom, you're on mute. You're on mute. Sorry, we muted you.
Apologies. The other thing to remind folks is it's not a matter of just being able to get to the building, but it's site access as well. You have to be able to get from your entrance in your building on an accessible path to the other amenities in Barcroft and to an accessible parking space. And there's just the topography of the site is such that there are very, very few opportunities that you can enter at grade, and that also can then continue on a path to the other places you need to be able to get to. So we're trying to find the very few places that are not hyper obtrusive, that still comply not with the ability to get into the building, but get in and away from the building.
Right, I think Tom's kind of speaking to like that magic formula that we need to be able to create an accessible unit that I think we've talked about before. Is kind of all of those things need to come together, and they do come together here. And we've also, I think as Lauren mentioned, it's kind of on a secondary elevation because it says that facade, gets lower, that basement level gets exposed, and it's also just within Barcroft. It's tucked away behind the other elevations that are fronting South George Mason Drive. So it's further away, not as visible from the public right away. Sorry, Mr. Mitchell.
I think what you've got there is appropriate, because I think if you made the new entrances similar to the existing door surrounds, it'd give the wrong impression, because those are historic and these are new, and I think they're less visible in the originals.
So you're absolutely right, and we're trying to walk a fine line where it should look not inappropriate to the building, but still very much of its time and not attempt to be an original opening. And I do think what we're doing in terms of not creating these decorative surrounds, and you see there's a wide variety of them around the site. Some are even more elaborate than this on some of the other phases with kind of arch tops and copper roofs and all that, that just don't really feel appropriate. And the other thing to also note is those more significant entries are communal entries into a central hall that you then access multiple units. The entries we're showing here are much more sort of individual entries into individual units. So they don't merit the same level of significance that the larger communal entrances have.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with your statement. And can you go to slide 8? I just want you all to see, it's kind of hard, it's hard to see it, but if you look closely where the doors are, I mean, as you're seeing the kind of retaining wall with the guardrail on top. So there's that one at the end of the building, and then there's another one kind of at the middle section of the building. So there's no guard.
You mean retaining wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, further to your right, Alice.
Yeah, that's to go into those entrances, right? And that's a new element.
There's a pass through. That white box is like where it passes through, I think, to the courtyard, right? And then I think there is, Alice, another unit entrance at the end of that retaining wall on the right, or is it just a window? Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's football.
Sorry, let me,
It's exactly what did you guys all to see that? It's great. It's not very visible right now, but it is along, so that's South 13th or 13th Road South is where this elevation is facing. And so that's kind of a new element. You guys did some magic in that one where the rail went away. Is there any chance that you all are thinking that the rail would be able to go away and it would just be a brick?
I think here, and Jeff or Tom can correct me on the railing piece. It's a code requirement. Once you drop so many feet,
Okay.
you have to have the railing, and it is there, existing there today. But I don't know if anybody has any more.
Yeah, so once you have a grade differential beyond 32 inches, you're supposed to have a railing around it. And I think the broader point is I believe that railing is there today. We're not adding it. It's
Okay, thank you.
there.
Yeah,
that's
that.
correct, yeah.
Yeah, Alice, I don't know if you go to the photos, but I think maybe you can see it better that way. But the railing has to be there so somebody walking up the sidewalk doesn't trip and then fall into that area.
It's hard to see here in the images, but do you want me to pull up Google Street View, Lauren? Do you think that'd be helpful?
Yeah, that might be better, because then you can see both the two retaining walls and pipe railings that are existing there.
Give me just a minute.
While you're pulling that up too, I'll make another note that I was just thinking about on the building 48, why those two entrances need to be on the front side and not the side. Something else we discussed too is the trash dumpster enclosure area is going to be on the side elevation. That's where the pad is right now. So that's part of it, and just it would be kind of undignified to put the accessible unit entrances facing the trash enclosure there. So that's another reason why I think it needs to go on the front.
And if you didn't do that, you'd be swapping a sort of garage service door that you need for the maintenance shop for those units. And you could, in theory, you're right, reconfigure the units to move to the back there. But then you'd end up having to gain access to the maintenance shop. You'd end up with a bigger, more obtrusive door on the primary elevation.
Okay, so there on the left, you can see the existing retaining wall.
Yeah. Here's where the new door would be, is where this window is. And then if you go up the hill, there's the breezeway. There's a couple different sections of retaining wall here.
So those will stay, that won't get rebuilt or anything, or like stay with the same design?
Jeff, I think the notes were to, we'll be making some kind of structural enhancements to them to make sure that they can stay in place, but we'll not be ripping them out and putting new ones in.
Okay.
What will happen to the shutters again? They'll be repainted and reused, or the. Okay.
I think we, with all these renovations, we've been repairing and replacing any shutters that need to be removed.
Yeah, that's our current plan.
I mean, as a preservationist, those shutters drive me nuts because they're clearly inoperable.
They're not original, yeah.
But they're there.
They're original to the building.
Yeah.
We are contemplating, more aggressive restoration tactics, but I don't want to overpromise there. We're still looking into that to see, the right course of action.
Make that the next thing.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, do you have any other questions? I'm sorry, I dominated most of them.
No. It's all right. We had 5 other ones to talk about. So.
Anything else you think the HALRB would be interested in that we didn't talk about today?
No, I think we've just, we just need any updates again with the waiver, but I mean, other than that, I think.
Yeah, I think Alice, you were saying today, Virginia Housing did grant the waiver on the first renovation phase.
Correct. Yep, we received the waiver on the canopies, and the trim was approved with conditions, just that they want us to make sure we're doing repairs to the trim, but they, our request for not cladding them that part was approved, so.
That's what gives
But the
us.
canopies was fully approved, no conditions.
If I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Okay.
But, so this is an updated version. You'll send us the updated.
Yes, we can send you, we'll send you the updated version of these slides. We'll also have an HALRB submission due, I think, next Wednesday.
Yeah, if
Right.
you could get it to me next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
That
Okay.
would be good, because I will share it with the board on Wednesday, and then they have a week to review everything.
Okay, good. We will have, the finalized exhibits because we're filing the use permit later this week. So we'll have all of that
Perfect.
ready in a new HALRB submission to you that will show all of the kind of updates that we talked about today with the materials and elevations and everything. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for HALRB. And then I guess we can talk then about whether or not you all think we need to come back for a second DRC or kind of go the way that we did last time where we only, we'll see.
It will depend on how the spirit of the conversation goes with the HLRB, but I think that has been what has worked out.
Yeah.
One last question though, so overall, will there be an increase of 4 units overall in the 2 buildings right now? Like, I think there's 73 units, I guess, right now existing.
Oh,
Will the unit count be the same? I mean, it's not really material to the conversation. I'm just kind of curious.
that's a good question. There's 73 units there today, all 1 and 2 bedrooms. So in building 47, the one that's at the bottom of the hill, we're just replacing like for like.
Okay. Sure.
Converting units. On building 48 at the top of the hill, those will be newly created units because today they're not occupied. So we're kind of reconfiguring that basement level to push the maintenance corridor, the maintenance shop to the back and provide 2 new units. And I think those are both 1-bedroom units.
That's correct.
Okay, and then on the building 47, it's 1 2-bedroom accessible unit and 1 1-bedroom accessible unit.
What's it for? Is it 4?
So
4A or
4 type A units, 2 that are new. So your unit count will go from 73 to 75. So, and we're glad to have been able to continue to find opportunities for these accessible units too, to be able to provide for. We want to provide as many as we can because we don't know what we'll see with each next section, as it's so dependent on the existing layout and topography.
And Jeff, anticipate that someone will probably ask again about what is the idea of the improvements that are going to happen in the courtyard. And I know that that's kind of, we get to that when it's permitting, but they may ask that again. So just kind of be prepared that they might ask that in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
All right.
We ready? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you in a
Thanks
couple.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Everyone have a great evening.
Save the best for last.
There you go.